Hello, this is Sarah Soiledplant and welcome back to my channel. It is about a week since I moved and I wanted to give you a couple of updates on how the plants are doing and sort of some complications I've run into since moving with all the plants. None of my plants have died at this point. It's just some of them have kind of handled the move better than others have. I took some B-roll footage just to put alongside so I can kind of show you what I'm talking about and all of the different complications that I've been seeing. But I will say right off the bat, most of the plants did really well with the move. I had most of my plants in my side bedroom that I showed in my moving vlog, and that setup worked okay. It's a short-term solution, you know, it's not getting quite enough light. I did put 2 of my lamps that had grow lights in them in that room to sort of help give off some supplemental light during the day. But the window is not giving off as much light as I would have hoped, so I'm definitely going to have to work on that a little bit. My living room has a big south-facing window, but unfortunately I feel like there's too many trees that I'm not getting a ton of that really high-quality south-facing window light that you're supposed to be getting. But I have noticed that this western-facing window, there is really good quality light coming in during the day from this window. So some of my plants that do better with sort of some direct light during the day, my ficus as well as my euphorbia, this guy up here if you can see it, I made sure to put those in this window. I also put my Albo Monstera, which is up here, I put that one there because it's not coming up with a ton of variegation, the last 2 leaves that it put out, so I'm hoping a little bit more light will kind of bring some of that out. So top shelf, I made sure to put some of the bigger things and the things that needed more direct light and also hung a little lower. So I've got my micans over here that kind of dangles a little bit just to keep it out of the way of the cats. The middle section right now is kind of mostly my Hartley philodendron, my synapsis here, and then I have one of my Adansonii over here. My other one dangles a little too much, so I probably couldn't put it on this shelf. And then on the bottom shelf, I basically have a bunch of things that don't dangle or hang outside the pot too much. That one is technically within the reach of my cats if they really felt like going after them. So I wanted to make sure that they were plants that kind of weren't as enticing and didn't have like little flowing bits and dangling bits that the cats would be more likely to be attracted to. It's kind of sparse down there and we'll see how it goes. I'm not sure. Or my like spare bedroom as sort of my jungle vibe, but I don't really want my living room to be like that because at the end of the day I want it to be functional and I want to be able to like move around in the space and have guests over and things like that without having to work around the plants, if that makes any sense. In addition to a new shelf for over here, I do plan on getting 2 of those IKEA Millsboro cabinets. I think they really do thread the needle pretty perfectly as far as something that can be in your living room and be sort of a decorative piece and be beautiful and fit in with your house, as well as be really good for the plants. You can add supplemental lighting, which I plan to do, and also you can kind of make it a greenhouse with a little bit of weather stripping and things like that. The humidity in there just naturally from the plants being in there will be, you know, around 50-60% without any humidifier, which is key. Those particular cabinets are notoriously out of stock at IKEA, and unfortunately earlier this week they did have the one I wanted. I'm gonna get the black ones just because I think it fits better with my decor, but they had some in stock, and by the time I got around to having time to actually go pick them up, which was today, they were no longer in stock. So I will have to wait until the next restock of that cabinet before going out and buying it, of course. As for how I'm going to be decorating the extra room in my house, I have no clue at this point. I'll definitely have to figure that out at some point, but for right now, it's just like I am so concerned on getting the living room situated and getting the plants somewhere where they actually get good light before I even consider all of the other, hurdles I'm going to have to jump through with that room in particular. So right now, my mind's kind of blank, but it's in the works. I'm sure I'll come up with something at some point. But for right now, just like not thinking about it at the moment. As far as problems I've encountered, aside from my south-facing window not giving as much light as I would have initially hoped, the light in my spare bedroom giving very little light as well. It's a little frustrating that the lighting situation is not what I was hoping based on just directions. And that's not the end of the world by any stretch. There is such things as grow lights and supplemental lighting and all of those things, which is what I did at my last place. It's very much possible to grow plants using grow lights, supplemental lighting, and not have to have pure window light. That is totally possible, and that's what I will end up doing. I was just kind of hoping that the natural lighting situation would be a little bit better, but that doesn't matter. I will move forward with what I've got. Now the piece that is probably the most frustrating is all of the spider mites I'm dealing with right now. The main 3 plants that I thought were the main culprit are in fact culprits, but there is another plant on my list here that has it really bad right now, and that is my white fusion. I am not surprised. I've been treating it for spider mites off and on for the better part of 2 months. So does it surprise me that it still has spider mites? No. The main problem with having this plant have spider mites is there are so many leaves on this plant. So many. It's almost infinite, and it would be impossible to clean it the amount I need to clean it in order to get rid of the spider mites. So my plan for these plants in particular is these 4 plants I am going to do my full treatment for spider mites, where I do alcohol and water with the makeup brush. I'm going to do Captain Jacks frequently, probably more often than I normally would. I need to kill these things. I need to nip this in the bud as soon as possible. I'm also spraying down all of my normal plants in all of the rooms that they're in. I am spraying everything down just as a preventative, if nothing else. I do not want these spreading at all. I hate them. I wish they would just go away forever. And I know that the reason they're not is because I don't stick to the regimen I'm supposed to all the time. When I do, they go away. But oh my gosh, bugs are so frustrating. One thing I do plan on doing now that I have my own home is I am going to introduce good bugs. I'm forgetting the term right now. I'll put it on the screen, but you can introduce bugs that specifically eat the bad bugs. And what these bugs do is you introduce them to your home. They will eat your spider mites, they'll eat thrips, they'll eat gnats, all of the bad things. They'll eat aphids, just depending on the type of bug you buy. But you can bring those into your house. They'll eat those bugs, and as soon as they run out of food, they with my entire being, and I know it'll grow back, and I know the roots on it are good, and I know it's a sturdy plant and it will come back. But it hurts my feelings a little bit to think that I was doing so well with that plant, and then I missed that it had spider mites, and it just went rampant, and it was very hard to recover from it. I was treating it, but not regularly enough because I was worried about the move. I had a bunch of personal stuff going on. So it's just like I was not focused enough on taking care of the plants that I had. When you're having one of those times in your life where you're stressed about a bunch of stuff, a lot of things aren't really going the right way, and you internalize all of it and you think about that as opposed to being consistent with taking care of plants or whatever else. Certainly during stressful times, you know, I had the move happening, I was doing my closing, I had some personal stuff happen, and then, you know, just social engagements, all these sorts of things, just all compounding on top of each other. And for a while I was neglecting my plants, the ones that I had. Probably the last month to month and a half, I especially just was not on top of any of the care for my plants. I was underwatering constantly. A lot of my plants were suffering because I wasn't watering enough and I wasn't consistent about it. I am not surprised at all that the spider mites took advantage of the situation and just like chomped down on all my plants. Like, it totally makes sense. I just, you know, it was unavoidable because sometimes when you're going through things, your plants are gonna take a back seat, and it should. Like, plants at the end of the day are just plants, you know? They're not a pet, they're not a child, they're not you. Like, those things are all more important than your plants. And even though I was going through sort of a stressful episode the last month, month and a half, you know, none of my plants died. I was able to keep them all alive, and I just have this bug problem that I need to take care of. And honestly, like, all things considered, when you go down the list of like all the bad things that could have happened with the move, with the stress, with the not taking care of plants, this is not that bad. Worst case scenario, the worst case scenario where I am freaking out is that I would have to cut off the leaves of my white fusion and let it grow back. Like, that isn't even that bad. That plant would rebound so fast, and I know it would because the roots are very, very sturdy on it, and it's a good plant, all of that. Like, it would be so much better if I just cut it all back. It certainly sounds bad. It doesn't sound great. It's not what I want to do, but if that's the worst case scenario, I think I'll be okay. But that does it for this video. A nice little post-moving update. Everything's going really well, all things considered. I just gotta give it time, gotta work on it. But overall, things are doing really well. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I will catch you next time. Bye.